All right, so mine actually says here that Evan actually has to give out his entire all the digits on his credit card before we start, and the 3 digits on the back. It actually says that we cannot start until he says that.
Where does it say that?
I'm looking at it right here, man. It says that on mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here you go. Why don't you read it off the
Okay,
page?
yeah, I'll read it. Okay. Redacted.
That's good, man.
All right, welcome back to the Beyond Sunday podcast. My name is Tate Wells. I am joined by some awesome people today. Right across from me, Pastor Paxton.
What's up?
And then sitting next to him, Pastor Evan.
What's up?
And then sitting next to me, to my right, not pastor, but resident, Hannah.
Hey guys.
I am not a pastor either, so it's fine.
Yeah, wait.
Well, we had a great Sunday yesterday. Sunday wasn't even yesterday when we recorded this. What is this guy talking about? Not the conclusion of the outpouring, but a pivotal moment.
Right.
Commitment Sunday. What y'all think about that?
Thought it was awesome. There were a couple cool moments of Sunday. You know, seeing everybody's hands raised, I think, was an image that just kind of stuck in my head while Kevin was praying and raised towards the tubs. I mean, obviously getting up and actually putting our commitments into those tubs, which, you know, church, if you'll remember, we used those tubs last year at Easter to baptize people. How many baptisms did we have in those? 22. And I believe this is correct. Only 8 of those baptisms were planned before that Sunday, which is amazing. And we're hoping for something similar this year at Easter, which is why that's where we placed our cards and our cards with our 3 on it as well. So it was just a really powerful Sunday, but really
Absolutely,
good.
Yeah, those seeing the whole church is what it felt like. I don't know that that's what it was, but it felt like the whole church coming forward to participate in that. Of course, I sat in multiple services, and in the 7:45 service, I filled out my impact card and dropped it in there. And then when I was sitting with my family in the 10:15 service, it hit me. I was like, there's names I want on there, knowing that they're going to be in the foundation of this church. And so I told Chelsea, I was like, you need to add this to your 3. And she's like, I've already got my 3. I was like, add this one. We need another one.
I need to fill out another card.
I don't know about you guys, but every single time that we fill out those 3 cards, I always end up putting at least 4 on there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
Really?
like breaking the rules or whatever.
I didn't know I was allowed to do that.
Yeah, there's
Well,
only
it
3
just-
spots. So
I always end up filling it out and putting my 3, and then like you said, like right before you get up there, something happens, and it's like, this person came to my mind too. But I think it would just be awesome, and this is going to happen within our church with these 3. But if somebody, you know, leads their 3 to Christ and then says, "Hey, your name's literally like under the foundation of this building," like that's
so
incredible.
excited for
And that's what got me, because I started thinking, I was like, this is going to be here for a long, long time. And so the last one that I added were people who don't exist yet.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about future generations in my family. And I was like, I want to be able to bring them to New Work Fellowship years down the road and be like, hey, I want you to know that your name or you were thought of when we built this.
Yeah. I was thinking about you before I even knew you. Yeah. That's powerful.
Paxton's out doing all of us on the cards with that.
Yeah.
I'm picking my kid names today, and they're going into foundation.
Yeah.
What are those names?
I don't know yet.
Oh, you said you were picking today.
Yeah, well, that's like later, guys. I have something to do right now. Let's go to the podcast.
Nervous.
Sorry.
Well, I have a question kind of to start us off for the day. This has kind of just become a recurrent theme when I'm on the podcast. I ask the question that I kind of start off our middle school class asking as well. And I asked this Sunday. I said, if you could be the greatest in the world at one thing, if you could be the absolute best at doing this one thing in your life, what would it be, and what would that look like? So I'm going to ask you guys that now. Anybody have an answer yet?
I think my mind immediately goes to something athletic.
Yeah.
Because
Mine too.
all of my life, I wanted to be the best at whatever sport I was playing. So my mind immediately goes to athletics.
Yeah.
So anything sport.
Yeah, for me, it's immediately something musical. I'd either, bass playing or singing or even piano playing, just one of those. I'd love to say like, oh man, I can. It for me, it's almost just more of like not so much as like the bragging rights of being able to like say that I'm the best in the world, but just like knowing that I can do whatever I want with one of those things. Like I can sing whatever I want, I can play whatever I want.
Do you think it would be bass, or would it be an instrument that maybe you haven't even attempted yet?
French horn.
The
harmonica,
the trumpet. Yes,
Flute.
I think it would be bass. That's just, I mean, that's like my instrument, it's my favorite. And I like, it's the one that I just feel like I can express myself on.
Yeah.
I think Miss Sunday Oakley is a mean kazoo player. I think I heard
that's
that.
what I heard that too. I heard that too. Hey, she's not the only one though. She's not the only one in Hopkinsville. There are surely others, right?
Tate.
No one gets that.
Tate has a secret kazoo talent that he's not telling us about.
So we just dropped like a super niche office inside joke on y'all at this point. So sorry. Most of y'all probably don't get what we're talking about. But I'm not going to explain it.
What about you?
Mine would probably be like doing a bunch of flips or something. Like, not like gymnastics, not like, I don't know, maybe gymnastics. But I just want to like go to a trampoline park and do like the most ridiculous flip you've ever seen in your life and just walk away,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And I'm sorry, but Evan is actually already the best in the world at doing flips.
I'm not. In church, you're going to see it on Sunday.
Stay tuned, guys.
Oh, shoot. Okay, then no spoilers.
No spoilers. I'll give you this little piece. This Sunday, you will get to see, if you come to service, if you watch online, you will get to see me attempting to do something that I never should have attempted.
On stage.
That's what I'll say.
On stage.
Yeah, he's going to try it again.
That's all we'll say. But come this Sunday and you'll see it. But yeah, I think for me, mine would probably have to be, I mean, my mind goes to sports too, Paxton. Yeah. And asking the students that, their mind, most of what they said was sports related or, something to that degree. But I think mine probably be basketball. I love playing basketball, and I want to be the best always. So that would probably be what I choose. But the reason that I asked that question on Sunday, we're in this talking about this sermon on Sunday called "Step Aside," and the reason I asked that question was really to ask this follow-up question, which would be, if nobody knew that you had that talent. If nobody could see you doing it, if it wasn't never on social media and you could never do it in front of people and people could never praise you for doing it, would it still be the same? Would you still have the same answer? And most of the students said no.
Yeah.
And really, most of us around this table would probably say no too, right?
Yeah, I'd say no.
Right.
Look at me doing flips in my room.
Terrible
guys.
of me.
No one can know.
Yeah. It changes, the way we think about things when we think about our intentions and why we're really wanting, why we want to do things, right? And the sermon on Sunday was called "Step Aside," and kind of following that same idea that, it's not about us. It's not about us being seen or praised, but it's about giving glory to God. Paxton, tell us a little bit about what this Sunday was about.
Yeah, that's so good and a great intro to the sermon. But, I think it would make you a dad because I am always the best at whatever I'm telling my kids I used to be able to do.
Oh, yeah.
So, like,
For you, I believe it, Paxton.
yeah, man, you guys have no clue how good I was at this.
Right.
That's basically what it takes. So Kevin's sermon from Sunday, talking about how to make a commitment, and he gave us 4 things that are key in making that commitment and being ready to do that. The first one was get happy, then get ready, get moving, and get started. And he talked about so many key things within those 4 points. About being able to take what we have, not what we don't have, not what we wish we could give, but being able to take what we have. And man, I loved the story that was shared in the sermon with the video of the hat.
Yeah.
And that's just so powerful how a $4.95 from Aldi's.
I didn't even know you could buy hats at Aldi.
Yeah.
But that hat has already had such a tremendous impact and
Multiple lives. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We've seen not only Stacy's life impacted because she started coming to church because of that conversation, but now her family is being impacted. So it's just absolutely incredible. So being able to use what we have, not what we don't have, and being able to start where we're at and just get started. Don't think about when things are right, when everything is how it's supposed to be. We just get started, and it's not just about financial things. It's about surrendering our hearts, and that's what the Lord's interested more about.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, since He's mostly interested in our hearts, how can we check our hearts to make sure that we are joyful in our giving? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think, we talked about this in our student small group on Sunday, and, it all matters behind, when it comes to giving or doing anything for the Lord, sacrificing in any way, it all matters what the intention is behind it. Mm-hmm. And if we're not joyful in our giving, and if we're doing it for the wrong reasons, then that's not good. So, and I think the way that we can check our hearts is really just to ask ourselves good questions. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ask ourselves why behind every single thing we're doing. I mean, I think it's super valuable every single time you do something to kind of ask yourself, why did I just do that?
Yeah.
Because oftentimes we don't. We just go through life and we just do, and we never stop to think and question what's the motivation behind this.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, it's really hard to make ourselves feel a certain way. Like a lot of the time, and for a situation like this, it's going to be hard to make ourselves feel that joy if it's not something that's already in us. But I was talking to Josh last week after the podcast, actually, and we had a really good conversation talking about how when you give something like this, whether it's for a capital campaign like we're doing right now, or just when you give something for the purposes of the Lord, you will always get a return for that. Now, it may not be a financial return necessarily,
right.
But God will always return back to you what you've put in. And that might just be something simple as getting to see the building finally built and getting to raise your children in that building that you helped build, Right. And that's not you getting something in return personally necessarily, but you're still getting a return from that, and the people around you are getting a return from that as well. So when you think about how can I be joyful in this, just think about how good it's going to be after you give.
And I think like a lot of times when you have to be joyful, you have to make sure you're being joyful. It's not like it's sadness or anger that we're getting over to be joyful. It's anxiety.
Yeah.
Like me personally, I don't make that much money. So knowing that I want to make a commitment and I want to do this and I want to do this for these reasons, I can get really cynical about it and say, well, I don't have that money. I don't have that kind of money. I don't have, I don't know how I'm supposed to help with this amount, right? So I think that kind of goes into the next question of what could be holding us back from stepping into what God is calling us to.
I think you're exactly right. I think comparison is one of those things that can hold us back.
Right.
Because we start thinking, well, I don't have what they have.
I can't give as much as that guy.
There's no way I could ever give as much as them. Mm-hmm. Even if I don't know how much they gave, I know it. I know I can't.
I'm not even scratching the surface.
And I think we saw that in Kevin's sermon with Ananias and Sapphira, right? They were comparing themselves to Barnabas, who sold this piece of property and gave everything.
Right.
And they were like, well, I guess that's the new expectation. So we've got to pretend like we're doing the same thing, even though we're not.
But that was never on them to do.
Right. Yeah. Nobody said you have to do this.
Right. And God wasn't. It didn't. Yeah. It was never an expectation that was needed for them, and they did it in the wrong way, which is what. I mean, it's a crazy story.
Yeah.
It's what they ended up dying because of it. So, but yeah, that's a good thought. The comparison. We talk a lot about comparison with our students because it's just such a big thing. And what comparison really is it's a trap.
Yeah.
And it trapped them in this story because they thought, hey, I've got to do this in order to be like someone else who I've already seen give, and which they never had to be. And it traps us in the same way when we see, and we're all going through this time together,
right?
But we have no need to compare.
And I think it can go either way, right? It can be the comparison of there's no way I could do that, so I'm just not going to do. Or it could be I've got to look like I'm doing that, which was the trap they fell into. And either way, it's a bad thing because God is not concerned about anybody else. Right? He's concerned about your relationship with Him and your obedience to Him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what else can be holding us back from stepping into what God is calling us to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall fear, it can be scary. Hannah, you just mentioned that, when we don't have a ton, when we're not making a ton, it can be just downright scary to make a commitment like that.
Yeah.
I think that fear can stem from a lack of our understanding,
a lack of faith. To be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when we have moments like that, when we're like, well, I don't really know like why God wants me to do this. That kind of paralyzes us. I know that paralyzes me. Paxton can tell you every week there for a little while in resident meetings, I'd be like, could you just pray that God will give me clarity? Mm-hmm. Because man, like when we come to a situation in our lives as people where we're like, I don't really know what the right thing to do is, that can lead us to just not making any decision at all, right.
Yeah.
And obviously we know that that's not right. So this was kind of an incomplete thought on my part. So let me try to explain what I was getting at here near the end. So yes, we begin to feel fear and begin to become paralyzed because we don't understand. But the Bible tells us to lean not on our own understanding. So we still need to step out on faith, even when we have moments where we don't feel like we fully understand, because God's ways are higher than ours. So despite our lack of understanding, we should still be trying our hardest to step into what God is calling us to do. So that's what I was trying to say. Thank you. Back to the podcast.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times we don't understand, like we're thinking about how this affects me, how this affects my financial decision, how this affects what's going on in my life. I'm scared to pay my bills, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to worry about in this young, hard adult life as a college student, guys. It's horrible. But we don't think about how our generosity can affect other people, like future generations. That could be at Newark, in the student building, in the kids ministry, and that could be even in a completely different place where we have a student that grew up in the new student building and got saved, spread the gospel at a different church. Like, it is a crazy chain that just goes on.
Yeah, well, how about Evan and Hannah, since you guys get to work so closely with our students every week, could y'all tell us some of the ways that you could see our generosity now affecting the future generations of the church? And maybe not even necessarily at Newark. I mean, you can definitely talk about that. I know we have this new student building coming, which is so exciting, but just in other ways that you could foresee that happening as well.
Well, the student building is going to be fantastic for them, and obviously that's going to affect the next generation in a huge way, as well as the kids wing. But what has been so cool for me to see through this season of the Outpouring is not how it's going to affect them in the future, but how it's affecting them right now, just to be a part of this.
Right.
And I mean, just for example, Kevin shared the numbers with you guys earlier, but we had almost 50 students make commitments. Within that commitment was almost $20,000 that students committed. I can't even imagine being a middle schooler and committing the kind of money that they have. Like I didn't have that, and I would have never thought that I would have been able to do that at that age. But even just this Sunday, we had several students that felt a call from the Lord and raised their commitments. Like they wrote new on that card and went and put it in the tub with the rest of the family. So we were I was sitting in one of the student buildings at the 10:15 service, and one of our students texted me, Michael, and Hannah, and she just said, "Hey, I think I'm supposed to raise my commitment." And we just said, "Hey, do it. Like, if the Lord's calling you to do that, do it." And she did, and she turned it in, and it's just so powerful to see. The students have been all in with this outpouring, and it's not just affecting them for the future and when this building comes, but it's changing them right now. So it's
And
so
even
powerful.
that student and other students have gone weekly, every Sunday, every Wednesday, to stand on that land that the building will be and just pray over it and pray that it will affect the future generations. They have no clue
That's awesome.
if they'll be here
Right.
when that happens. They have no clue if they'll raise their families here, but to think that that could be a possibility,
Right.
and to think how much they think about it now,
Yeah.
how much they think about the students that aren't even there yet. Now, when the sixth graders come up, they're like, the sixth graders are coming up. But they truly care about the kids that are younger than them. They truly care about their future just as much as their own. And they care about those relationships that are going to be formed. And we're going to have a basketball court, hopefully, in there. And it'll be something that you can invite anybody to.
Yeah.
Like, they know that at their school, it's hard to say, hey, come to church with me. But it's really, really easy to say, hey, come play basketball with me. Hey, come play volleyball. Let's just go hang out. And once you hang out with them, you're at church and you got your friend at church. And that is the very first step.
Yeah, so at that part, it's starting to affect the community. It's not
Yeah.
just
Exactly.
the kids that are going
And
to
they
be
see
raised at
that.
Newark. Yeah,
Yeah, and they see that very, very well.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I love the impact that's already happening. It's incredible to see because I mean we really truly are already seeing those stories of generations already being impacted by what God is doing. Every time we see a baptism,
Right.
which is every week, I think about what about the next generation of that family because we've literally seen it right where the mom comes to faith and follows in baptism. And their kids come to faith and follow in baptism. Like we're seeing those things.
Yeah.
Pierre's story, just
Man.
generational and just spreading through families. And that is so amazing to think about that our generosity, this moment right now, we've got the opportunity to be a part of seeing that spread.
Yeah.
And even I just want to talk about like calls to ministry.
Yeah.
There's students that have said, hey, I'm called to ministry. I know I'm called to ministry. And we get to talk with them. But I think about what generational impact that has. I mean, Evan knows it very well. But I know that my dad became a pastor 5 years ago today, actually, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
He became a pastor 5 years ago today. And if it weren't for him becoming a pastor then, I don't know if I would have known what a call to ministry was. I don't know if I would have known that was in my, like, that's how I was led when I was growing up. Like, I didn't realize that that's something that I could do and it be impactful. So
Yeah, we're seeing it spread, and it's been a special time to walk through, and I'm just happy that we're able to be part of it. So
For sure.
and it's not done yet.
That's right. There's more to come.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of some more to come, some things of the future, Tate, I think you were going to share with us some upcoming event.
Yep. I think Josh already mentioned this on the pod, but March 27th, we're having another night of worship. Very exciting. The theme is going to be the overflow. Josh and I have some I say Josh and I. Josh and I and the worship leadership team and some of our communications team.
Yeah.
We've got some really awesome stuff planned. You are not going to want to miss this night. It is going to be just an incredible night of fellowship and worshiping with your church body, with your fellow believers.
Can you let us in
I'm
on
so
anything,
excited.
Tate?
I don't know if I should. I think there's a lot of stuff that we're gonna want to keep as a surprise, but
Cool.
y'all, it's gonna be awesome. Y'all are not gonna want to miss this one. They just keep getting better and better. The night of worships, and this will continue that trend, I believe.
excited.
Also, something you don't want to miss this coming Sunday. You already got a little teaser.
You did.
Tell us what
Evan
we're going to
Ryan.
be.
Yes,
Tell us what we're going to see
Yes,
and
sir.
hear.
Yeah, so I'm excited about this Sunday. We're still in the outpouring. No, it is not finished yet. Even though we've given our commitments, it's not done yet. And this Sunday, we're talking about how to put our faith into action. And really, the main idea behind this Sunday is how to be all in. Paul mentions, Paul mentions in Philippians that he is pouring himself out like a liquid offering. And he's doing this because he looks at the example of Christ first, who poured himself out for us. So we're gonna look at what it really means to pour ourselves out in a real, tangible way on this Sunday, and just talk about what it means to be all in. So, and we've experienced this, we've seen this. It's been a joy of mine to see the students be all in during this time, and our prayers that you will be all in during the rest of this outpouring season. So that is this Sunday. We're looking forward to it. Like I said, there will be something really interesting to see.
Little surprise,
little
gift.
video maybe that you won't want to miss. Some people have seen it in the church already, and if you have, don't spoil it for others, but it'll be good. So we're looking forward to this Sunday.
Fantastic. Well, we're excited to hear you bring the word, Pastor Evan. All right. Well, it actually says here on mine that we can't close until Hannah reads her credit card information.
Okay. Actually, do you take Apple Pay?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no.
Let me just say, Tate, you're asking like the two people who have the least amount of money in here.
No, literally.
Ask
Why?
Paxton, bro.
How much money do you think I have?
I know, but Paxton is like over there, like raining money over here.
I mean, I know nobody else heard it, but I saw Evan's card number, so we're good.
Yeah.
One.
That's why I was so eager to give it away. There's hardly anything on it.
He did not care. It was right there. Yeah. All right, guys, but we've had a great time talking to you. I love doing the podcast. It's one of my favorite things to do. Tate, please remember that. I really love it.
Okay.
But it is one of my favorite things to do. And I just love talking. I love recapping. But I'm really excited for the things we have coming. Excited for Sunday. Excited for Night of Worship. And excited to see what God's going to do in the rest of this outpouring. So,
Amen.
Amen. All right, guys. Have a good week, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you later.
Bye.